The Illuminaughtii story has somehow gotten even worse. I feel like I've said that at the start of multiple videos about Illuminaughtii, but I'm not joking when I tell you every new piece of information that comes out about this woman has me completely floored. A huge piece in this story has just come out, which has given us more context into who Blair is as a person, as well as her business practices and her relationships with people like OzMedia. And upon hearing this new information, I was completely perplexed as to how this has gone under the radar for so long. And not only that, how somebody could act this way. It's honestly just the most shocking things I've heard in regards to this story yet, and I do not think you're ready for it, so brace yourselves. Quick speed run of everything that has gone down in regards to Illuminaughtii before this. If you need a full recap, check the links in my description for full videos about these situations. But if you want something shorter, here we go. LegalEagle's editor reached out to Blair to ask her for a plugin that she used in her editing. Blair then did some digging and found that LegalEagle also uses the same highlighting effect and ripped paper effect that she uses in her videos. She accused him of copying her, but failed to mention that every YouTuber under the sun uses these effects, as well as mainstream media. She received a lot of backlash for this, which prompted some of her former friends and members of Sad Milk to come out and share their harrowing stories about working with her and being friends with her. It turns out that she is an extremely vindictive and manipulative person. This also shone light on other stories in regards to her treatment of people like Tommy C and Cruel World Happy Mind. Blair then made a video addressing all of these things, including apologising to LegalEagle, but instead of apologising to her former friends, she threw them all under the bus, made accusations against them, and shared very private information about them, which just made her look worse. Since that happened, more information has come out about her, including an interview that Swoop did with her ex-boyfriend, which again made her look terrible. And she then sent some of the people involved cease and desist. This included Wonder and OzMedia. And that brings us to today, and I think I broke my record on speedrunning the information about this. Now, where we stand today is that OzMedia has uploaded a video about Illuminaughtii. Now, we have been waiting for his video for a long time. He says that it's in the works. He's going to be exposing a lot of the shady things that she did, allegedly, because, like I have to say, for legal reasons, everything in this video is based on opinion and speculation, not on fact, and it is not meant to defame or harass any company, group, or individual. Going forward, everything is based on opinion. In the meantime, while we were all waiting for this video, he had posted a GoFundMe because Blair was threatening legal action to take his home, which is something that we have discussed in previous videos. Now, when we were discussing this though, it was a little bit confusing because we didn't really know what it meant that she was suing him for his home, because presumably it's his home, she can't do that. And we do have some answers on this, and it is far worse than I expected. Now, in this video that OzMedia posted, this is a short video. The video that he's working on is hours long. But he made this shorter video in order to give some extra information to people who are waiting for his video, and because he says he now has to continue posting regular videos in the meantime to be able to live, essentially, because YouTube is his full-time job, which I completely get. Like, I don't know how you can have YouTube as your full-time job and just take a break to work on one single video. You will go broke very quickly, unless you have like millions of subscribers, but that's a whole different scenario.
I'm making this because I'm giving an update to both my regular viewers and those who are here for something a bit more specific.
What I find very concerning about this short video is not the short video in itself, but it's the fact that this is just a taster, for lack of a better word, of the information that he is going to be giving about his relationship to Illuminaughtii and the things that he experienced and witnessed during his time being with her. And even in this short video, the amount of information that we are given and the severity of it is absolutely shocking. So I can't even at this point imagine what is going to come out in his longer video. But what did he actually say? Let's get into that, because that's the important bit. Firstly, very importantly, and something that none of us knew, as far as I'm aware, if everybody else knew, nobody told me, OzMedia and Illuminaughtii were in a relationship for 3 years. They were both adults, but there was an age gap there. They started seeing each other when he was 20 and she was 28. Now, I know age gaps are quite a contentious thing. People have very differing opinions, so I'm going to leave it to you as to what you think about this. Now, personally, I feel in general that that's fine. But as we get into more of the relationship between them, you can see that it absolutely was not fine, because there was a power imbalance in every aspect going on there, not just the age gap. She was 8 years older than him, but also she made much more money than him. At one point he said 30 times his monthly salary, and I don't know if that was hyperbole or if that was actually the number, but regardless, we know that she was making a lot more money than him. And this power dynamic also came about in other ways. According to OzMedia, Blair had put a lot of financial obligations onto him at this young age. All purchases and all loans went through him, despite her high earning, and that was all done because apparently she had bad credit at the time and he had good credit. This means that any loans, any debts was under his name, or he was a co-signer of that, even if it was all entirely her idea, which is absolutely a misuse of power, and given the way that you'll see that she treated him, is completely gross. He was even a co-signer on the car that she bought for Wonderstruck, which we all know how that ended. If you don't, she stole it back in the night with all of his belongings in it.
Later in the early hours of July 29th, 2021, Blair flew down to obtain the BMW, hours after I agreed to pay for the car's appreciation value under the condition that I was paying what was accurate and visible to me. At roughly 3 a.m., Blair sent me a text stating that I had breached numerous contract violations and that she was in Texas to repossess the vehicle. It goes without saying I was asleep at this time, so obviously I did not see a message that was sent to me at 3 a.m. in the morning. Once I woke up and I saw the messages, I asked Blair for an explanation as to how I breached my contract, to which I was ignored. However, Blair stated she would make arrangements for me to obtain my items. This never took place. I took to Twitter, where I made a tweet regarding what had just happened, and I was immediately reminded by one of Blair's managers that I could not speak out on the matter, and I was threatened with NDA. If I had to explain the feeling, I felt helpless. Again, I just wanted to do the right thing and do it the way I was asked. And now I wake up and all my belongings are gone. I cannot explain how weak that makes a person feel. It feels like just a massive, a massive fuck you for no reason.
According to Oz, she also was pushing him to make a lot of financial decisions, which she was saying were good decisions. And he was 20 years old and did not have good financial literacy. Now, I'm just going to say here, at this point in time, we have already established that Blair had bad credit. So clearly, she's not the best decision maker when it comes to money. And I just want to be clear, that's not me saying that like OzMedia should have known. That's me saying Blair should have known better than to think that she can give somebody financial advice. Now, clearly, her financial guidance was terrible. So OzMedia ended up struggling financially, and he had to ask iilluminaughtii for help. Every relationship is different, obviously, but I think in most cases there's absolutely no problem with asking your partner for financial help if you need it. And in most cases there's no problem expecting that to be paid back. Again, it depends on the individual situation. Some couples will share all their money generally, though they'll be married by then, others won't, and it just depends. But what iilluminaughtii did was create a ledger of debt to keep track of every single thing that he owed to her so that he could pay it back. But I just want to keep in mind as well that she's doing this despite the fact that she makes exceedingly much more money than him. And again, there are going to be people who will argue, well, like, that's her money, she's owed that money. And yeah, fair enough. But to create a ledger of debt against your partner, to hold that over their head, which is what she was doing, because according to him, she would make him feel terrible about this. And not only that, but she would go around telling everybody, telling all of her friends, all of his friends, all of her employees and her Reddit staff about his financial situation. And in no situation is that okay. If somebody owes you money that is between the two of you, you do not get to go around spreading that. And to make this even worse, the ledger of debt crept into the range of $180,000.
And I want to clarify again, Blair wasn't my bank. She wasn't my landlord. She was my partner at this time. I honestly can't account for, nor even come close to this number when digging through my own finances. This ledger would creep into the range of $180,000, an insurmountable amount where I don't even understand how she got there. That number ballooned higher and higher, the number ever increasing, and I never questioned it out of guilt for needing help.
Now, the problem with this is that OzMedia states that he doesn't know how it got that high. And he didn't go into detail here, but in my opinion, it felt like he was alluding to her just adding money to it. Because he also states he didn't want to ask too many questions about this. Now, I can't see a scenario where it could have possibly gotten to $180,000 unless he was being ridiculous and buying just mountains of shite that he didn't need. Or iiluminaughtii was completely misleading him to make terrible decisions that she could add to this debt, or she was just finding sneaky ways to add on extra money into that. One of the things that got added into this was and in fact, one of the things that got added to this, or two of the things should I say, was a land deposit and a design fee for what is, according to OzMedia, a multi-million-dollar home that he did not want to go in with her on, but she threatened to break up with him if he didn't agree to it. At this point, that is coercion. Now, with all of this going on, with the ledger of debt that she was hanging over his head, with all the people that she was telling about his financial situation and all the ways that she was misleading him, allegedly, into making terrible financial decisions, he felt like a parasite, in his own words, and was trying to find any way that he could to pay her back, even took on a role working for her. Now, there seems to be a pattern of people in Blair's life feeling indebted to her and having to work for her. It happened with Wonderstruck, where she offered him to live with her and OzMedia, which we now know was OzMedia's home. It was in his name. But she was so horrible about the whole thing. She convinced Wonderstruck to work for her and also was planning to move into a home that she was going to build for him and create a company town, but didn't give him enough work and made him feel terrible about it, so that he felt indebted to her and was trying to help even around the house in any way that he could. Now we're seeing here that OzMedia, who was her partner at the time, owed her so much in debt and had this held over him so much that he felt like he needed to work for her so that he could help pay it back. Also offered to work on her crypto farm for free for his labor going towards paying off this debt. I guess we're just going to brush over the fact that iilluminaughtii had a crypto farm. Fuck the environment, I guess. And according to him, also helped her to push her channel to be making far much more money than it was before that. For free. Helped her with that, just, it wasn't a service that he provided. She made him feel indebted to her. And again, it seems to be, in my humble opinion, a pattern. But here's where we get to the real strange part of all of this, which is that in December of 2022, iilluminaughtii pulled OzMedia, her then partner, into a room with a lawyer, had him sign some papers. This was all to make the debt that he owed her official, and that he would set up a payment plan. The point of it was to transfer the money over to being a loan with her company. It said that he would be paying back the debt at $2,500 a month for almost a decade, which she, being the person that paid him, knew that that was almost as much as he was making working for her. She's fully aware of how much money he makes, and she is still trying to say, yes, almost the entirety, almost 100% of that income is going to go to me to pay back this loan. I don't know how she could reasonably think that that's okay, how she could think that he can afford that, because she knows he can't. In his own words, everything that he earned working for her went straight back to her. Now, I'm sorry, this is actually completely random. This has nothing to do with the video. It's just, for some reason, completely unrelated to this, the word indentured servitude just came into my mind, just out of nowhere. Nothing to do with the video anyway, so let's move on. So she already knows that he can't afford to pay this back. She knows that. There's no way that she doesn't know that, in my opinion. She also knows that he cannot afford legal representation to help him to go over this legal document before he signs it. So she's going into this with a lawyer. He's going into it on his own. And this is his partner. She's also in his ear telling him, you know, signing this is going to help fix our relationship because they were having problems at the time. Essentially saying, you know, you sign this and we're going to stay together and everything will be fine. And also, sickeningly, manipulating him by telling him that by giving him money, she took that out of company funds and she committed embezzlement. So essentially saying she could go to prison because of him. What makes this worse is the fact that he points out that his mother went to prison for embezzlement, which was clearly a traumatic event for him as a child. And Blair knew about that. He doesn't go into detail, but I'd assume if she knew about that, he talked about it. He must have talked about his feelings regarding it. So she knows, by saying this, he's going to think, oh God, another person I love in my life is going to go to prison for embezzlement. And not only that, but this time that it's because of him, which it wouldn't have been because it was her own choice to embezzle money. It is absolutely not his fault if she chose to do that. And if that was the only way that she could do that to give him financial help, then she should have told him that when he asked for help. Here is where we get to the point about the home. The document that he signed was a deed of trust, and if he could not afford to pay back the $2,500 a month for almost a decade, which again, as we established, was almost the entirety of his income, he needs to pay bills, he needs to buy food, everything like that. He won't be able to afford that. If he can't pay that back, then iiluminaughtii would have the power to foreclose on his home. And here's where we're going to get fully into my opinion, and I do not want any lawyer or non-lawyer to look at this and go, this is me saying this is what's happening. This is purely speculation on my part. But I fully believe that Blair knew what she was doing. She knew that he was not going to be able to afford this, that he was going to slip up at some point, and then she would have the power at any given time to take his home from him. She wanted that power. She wanted him to mess up, and that's why she made it impossible for him. And you could argue, oh, but like he should have known that he wouldn't be able to pay that back, and I understand that side of things, but at the same time, this was his partner who was getting him to sign this, and surely you're with somebody because there's a level of trust there. You hope that the person that you're in a relationship with and have been for 3 years has your best interests at heart. In this case, I don't think she did. I think she in fact had his worst interests at heart, because he even reveals that he didn't find out till a few weeks after he had signed that iiluminaughtii had already moved on. She had already decided they were breaking up, but she was telling him that this was going to help their relationship. So here again is what I think. I think she knew she was ready to break up with him. She also knew that she had mistreated him, because it was not only the financial stuff. She also knew that he had seen a lot of her shady behaviour. He had seen the way that she had treated former friends, treated other people. He has also alluded to there being alleged white-collar crimes that she committed that he's aware of. Essentially, she knew that OzMedia had dirt on her, and she wanted to make sure that at any given time she could blackmail him into staying silent. What further backs this up in my own mind and my own personal opinion is the fact that he has been behind on payments for a while, but she did not set the foreclosure until all of this came out, until people made their Twitter threads, and until he said that he was going to be making a video exposing a lot of the shadier things about her. That was when she set the home to foreclose. She waited for her opportunity, potentially because she wanted to scare him into silence and scare him into not making the video, into coming to some kind of agreement. She wanted to have full power and full control over him, even when they weren't in a relationship. And she shouldn't have had full power and full control when they were in a relationship. She was in control of his finances. She pushed him into making financial decisions. She was even his employer at some point. He didn't have any friends in Colorado. All of his friends had to be approved by her, which I find very sickening and very disgusting, that he could not be friends with anybody that she didn't like. She had full control then, which was disgusting, and she wanted to keep full control now. But the thing is, he's still making his video. so it didn't work. I know you may be saying that I look very angry about this, and that is because I am. I'm absolutely 100% sickened by her actions, and I truly think she's a horrific, horrible person. Normally, when I make videos, I'm able to kind of keep that down a little bit and not show it as much. But I'm gonna level with you, I am really sick. I am ill. So I just have absolutely no patience for this today, and I have no ability to sit here and try and control my own emotions when I honestly think this is one of the most terrible, disgusting people I have ever heard of in my entire life. I don't know why she feels the need to have control over everybody in her life. And I'm gonna say it, in my opinion, this is abuse. She is an abuser. In my opinion, what she did to OzMedia, and not just to OzMedia, but to other people as well, was coercive control and emotional manipulation and psychological abuse. For a while now, this has gone far beyond YouTube drama. But like I said, he's still making his full video. This is just a brief glimpse into everything, and it's already terrible. And at this point, every new thing that comes out, I'm just blown away. Like, I just don't expect it every single time, even though by now I should expect it because the patterns are there. The pattern is there of her manipulating people in her life, of her taking control over people in her life, trying to make sure that they solely rely on her, and then holding that power over them for as long as possible. So I'm waiting to see what he says in his full video. But for now, it's very important that if you can, that you donate to his GoFundMe for his legal fees. Now, last time I checked this, he had raised 29,000, which is a huge sum. That's fantastic. But legal fees are expensive. They cost a lot of money. As far as I'm aware, he was just trying to raise money for a retainer. But legal proceedings go on for a very long time. If you watched my coverage of the stuff between Dissociated and Sergio Costa, you'll know how expensive it is and how long it goes on for. So take a look at his fundraiser if you can. He's also said that he's going to be posting updates there where relevant until his video comes out. So if you want to keep an eye on it yourself, do donate if you can. I've just checked, it is actually 33,000 now. Because as it stands right now, this is going to go to court. And she has set his home to foreclose just before Christmas, which is very soon. But as horrific as iilluminauttii's actions are, I'm glad the people in this story have found support, and that they have enough support around them that they are able to finally stand up for themselves and stand against her. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit croaky throughout this whole thing. I am sick. And I tried to make my voice sound as best as I could, but like, this is what we're working with right now. I'm so sorry. I don't think the IKEA lamp flickered at all, which is great because I made a huge mistake. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my last video that I did about Colleen Ballinger and Jojo Siwa. You'll see what I mean there. Just before coming into this room with the lamp, I decided to watch Ghost Files. So I came into this room like, I don't want the lamp to do the thing today. Please, no, thank you. Anyway, yes, thank you so much for watching. Please genuinely do subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I know that some of you here have watched a couple of videos and you haven't subscribed yet. So if that is you, now is your time. I would like to hit 100,000 one day. So someday. I'd be very appreciative of that. I don't know what I'm gonna do to say thank you for that yet, but I will figure something out for sure. Turn on notifications as well, like, comment, share, and also follow me on social media everywhere. I go by VangelinaSkov everywhere. I will be posting new stuff to Instagram and to TikTok soon. I have the stuff ready to go, so follow me there. Like, comment, share, do all the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of the video, including checking out the merch, because I almost forgot to say that. There's just too many things to plug at the end of a video, but yeah, check out the merch. I designed it all myself, and I hope you love it. Some people already do love it, so yeah, please do check that out. Have an absolutely wonderful day. I am going to go and take a nap. Bye.